All right, today we're getting into the complete story of sildenafil. Now, you probably know it by its brand names like Viagra or Revatio, but trust me, its origin story and how it works for two totally different reasons is way more interesting than you might think. So let's just kick things off with the big puzzle right away. How on earth can a single drug be used to treat both a life-threatening lung condition and erectile dysfunction? I mean, what's the connection there? To figure that out, we've really got to look at the two very different problems that sildenafil was designed to solve. It's truly a tale of two completely separate treatments. So on one hand, you've got pulmonary artery hypertension. This is a really serious condition. We're talking about dangerously high blood pressure in the arteries going to your lungs. Then on the other hand, you have erectile dysfunction. At first glance, these two things could not seem more unrelated. But here's the secret. The one crucial thread that ties them both together. Both of these very different medical issues get better with the exact same solution, improved blood flow. That is the key to sildenafil's surprising double duty. Okay, so how does it actually do that? How does it improve blood flow? Let's dive into the chemistry and see what this drug is actually doing inside the body. The whole magic trick comes down to one process, vasodilation. It sounds complicated, but it's a really simple idea. It's just the widening of your blood vessels. When the tiny smooth muscle cells inside the walls of those vessels relax, the vessel opens up and more blood can get through. Seriously, just picture unkinking a garden hose. The water flows freely. It's the same principle. And here's exactly how sildenafil makes that happen, step by step. First, it goes in and blocks an enzyme called PDE5. When that enzyme is blocked, it allows another molecule, cGMP, to build up in that area. Well, it turns out that cGMP is the signal that tells the smooth muscle to just chill out and relax. And the result? The blood vessels widen, you get that vasodilation, and boom, blood flow improves. It works the same way whether it's in the lungs or anywhere else. Okay, now that we get how it works, we have to talk about some really critical safety information. Because this drug is so good at changing your blood flow, there are some things you should absolutely never, ever mix it with. First things first, sildenafil isn't for everybody. It's what we call contraindicated, meaning you shouldn't take it if you have a known hypersensitivity to it, if you have severe liver problems, or if you've recently had a stroke or a heart attack. Now listen up, because this is the single most important warning we're going to cover. You must not take sildenafil with organic nitrate medications. This includes prescription drugs like nitroglycerin, which is often used for chest pain, but it also includes recreational drugs known as poppers. Mixing them can cause your blood pressure to drop suddenly, severely, and it can even be fatal. This is a non-negotiable warning. And beyond that really critical warning, you also want to avoid mixing it with other drugs that work in a similar way. So that means no other PDE5 inhibitors and no other vasodilators. Basically, you don't want to stack these effects because it can be really dangerous. All right, so moving on from the major interactions, it's also good to know about the more common, though usually less severe side effects you might run into. Some of the most frequently reported reactions are things like flushing, where your skin gets red and warm, maybe some dizziness or a headache, and because it's messing with your blood vessels, it can cause hypotension, that's low blood pressure, and for some people, even temporary visual disturbances. Okay, let's wrap this up with the practical stuff. How is this medication actually given, and what can you expect in terms of timing? So let's talk timing. When you take it orally, you can expect it to start working in about 60 minutes. And the effects? Well, they can last for up to 8 hours, which is a pretty important window of time to keep in mind. Sildenafil also comes in a few different forms. In a hospital setting, it can be given as an IV solution. There's also an oral suspension you can drink, but what most people are familiar with are the oral tablets, which come in different strengths, from 20 up to 100 milligrams. And get this, just to show you how versatile this drug really is, it has a fascinating off-label use for treating high-altitude pulmonary edema, or HAPE. For that, the typical dose is 50 milligrams 3 times a day. It's just another perfect example of improving blood flow to solve a very specific and very different problem. So really, the big takeaway here is that sildenafil proves something amazing about medicine, that a single, elegant biological mechanism, in this case improving blood flow by opening up blood vessels, can be the key to solving vastly different human problems, from lung health to sexual function. And that just leaves us with this incredible question for the future, right? If we can accomplish all of this just by targeting this one pathway, what other conditions could we treat just by precisely controlling blood flow? Think about everything from brain health to organ function. The possibilities are really exciting to think about. Thanks so much for watching.